The morning light streamed through the tall windows of a grand mansion, scattering golden reflections across the marble floors. Guests in elegant gowns and sharp tuxedos murmured in delight, their laughter blending with the soft hum of the orchestra. And amidst all that glitter stood a young maid, her hands trembling, her eyes lowered. Across from her, a man in a perfectly tailored suit, a man the city knew as charming, wealthy, and utterly proud, lifted a violin with a smirk. "Play the violin," he said mockingly, "and I'll marry you." The crowd erupted in laughter. They expected a moment of humiliation, not history in the making. But what happened next silenced them all. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, humility, and second chances, take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness, where true stories touch the heart and heal the soul. The maid's name was Alina. She was only 20, yet her eyes carried the quiet sadness of someone who had seen too much. Her mother had died young, and her father, a humble violin maker, had raised her with love and music. He used to say, "Alina, when words fail, let the violin speak." But when illness took him away, Alina sold everything she owned, even the last violin her father ever made, to pay for his medicine. When he was gone, she had nothing left but memories and a broken heart. Desperate to survive, she found work as a maid in the mansion of Adrien Deveau, a millionaire with more pride than compassion. He threw lavish parties, surrounded by the city's elite, people who measured worth in diamonds and titles, not kindness. That evening, as the hall filled with laughter and wine, Adrien boasted about his new collection of rare violins. A guest, half drunk, pointed at Alina and joked, "Let the maid play one for us." The room roared with laughter. Amused, Adrien held out one of his prized violins. "Go on," he said cruelly, "play it, and I'll make you my wife." The laughter deepened. Alina's cheeks flushed red, her heart pounding. She hadn't touched a violin in years. But deep inside, she heard her father's gentle voice again. "Play with your heart, and the world will listen." She raised her eyes and whispered, "May I?" Adrien shrugged. "If you dare." The hall grew silent as Alina took the violin in her trembling hands. At first, the sound was soft, uncertain, but then, like sunlight breaking through clouds, her melody bloomed. Her music spoke of love and loss, of lonely nights and quiet strength. It wasn't just a song, it was her soul poured into sound. The laughter faded. Tears welled in the eyes of those who had mocked her. Even Adrien, the man of marble pride, stood frozen, his arrogance melting into awe. When the last note faded, silence filled the hall, the kind of silence that only follows something sacred. Alina lowered the violin, bowed, and whispered, "Thank you." Then she turned and quietly walked away. That night, Adrien couldn't sleep. Her music haunted him, not for its beauty, but for what it awakened inside him. He saw the emptiness of his wealth, the hollowness of his pride. Days passed, weeks turned to months. He tried to find her, sent letters, made calls, searched the villages. Nothing. Until one rainy afternoon, he heard a familiar melody drifting from a small countryside chapel. He followed the sound, and there she was, sitting by the altar, playing softly. The violin she held was one from his own collection. Alina looked up in surprise. "I came to return it," she said gently. "I shouldn't have taken it." Adrien shook his head. "You didn't steal it," he said. "You brought it to life." For the first time, his voice carried warmth instead of arrogance. He told her how her music had changed him, how it had broken the walls he'd built around his heart. Alina smiled faintly. "My father used to say music can heal even the proudest soul." Adrien nodded. He was right, he whispered. Then, humbly, without the mask of wealth or ego, he said, "Alina, I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'd like to earn it. Will you let me try?" Years later, people spoke of how Adrien Deveau changed. The once proud millionaire devoted his life to kindness, building music schools for poor children, funding homes for the needy, and using his wealth to bring hope instead of pride. And beside him was always Alina, not as his maid, but as his wife, his muse, his melody. At every charity concert, she played that same violin, the one that had changed both their lives. And Adrien would sit in the front row, eyes glistening, still in awe of the woman who taught him that a single act of grace can silence the world. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness, because sometimes all it takes is one moment of love to change a lifetime of pride.